Hello there. So as you know, by Orga's request, he wanted me to make an iceberg video about the Heist series. So without further ado, let's get on with it. The first Heist film. Let's kick this out with the first Heist film, which is just called The Heist, filmed by me, or Orga. It involved real-life YouTubers, Haxja, Orga, and Nak as the main characters, with the main villain David Hurley, leader of the Wander Liberals. Apparently there is no backstory to this film, but Orga does mention they want to build a nuke stronger than the Tsar Bomba. The villains. The Heist series has had its fair share of villains, from the Quen timeline to the Retrieval timeline. Before my The Heist But It's Your Ideas series, the villains we had were David Hurley, Howard Hughes, an unknown Neptunian soldier, and King Hendrik III. In the Quen timeline, new villains, or anti-villains, were introduced. Those were an unnamed Quen general, Helmi, Henzig, and even... how do I even pronounce this? Nija Dipper XL, aka Mod. This was Quen Bat Channel's idea, so don't blame me. Also, not to mention the Nassars like Alexander Belham, Oswald Nassar, and Derek Nassar. The Bond Legion crew's origins. The Bond Legion was a successor to the Orga team after Orga retired from being leader of the group after all its members died of old age. However, that didn't stop their legacy from continuing, as Conrad, a former European Space Agency member, recruited their sons. UHB, a musician, son of Nak; Amsterbal, a bank accountant, son of State Hollandia; Garuda, an aeronautics engineer, son of Orga; and Willem, former Velledian soldier, the son of an Estonian woman; and Starch Productions. Libz Bond. Libz Bond, aka me in lore, is the leader of the Bond Legion that started it with just Conrad, and like me in real life, is from the Philippines. I had my phone broken by Howard Hughes, so I approached an aging Orga and told him about the incident. He sent me to assassinate Howard, but that failed miserably, so Orga defeated him himself. The Wander Liberals and Velledians. These guys were the main villains in the early Heist films, though the Wander Liberals were phased out and had most of their roles replaced by the Velledians. The Velledians, an Estonian majority militant group, have already had their lore explained, even featuring all their leaders. The Wander Liberals, which was a group created in Germany during some era, didn't have any of their lore explained, and just appeared as antagonists in the Heist 1 and 2, and later Retrieval 5. The only leaders known are David Hurley, William Wagner, and Francis Gans as of that film. Mr. P. Mr. P, a Chukotkan scientist and medical engineer Orga recruited into the Bond Legion for the purpose of building a spaceship, though he had no experience at the time. His full name, though never revealed in any film, is Prav Kozlov Stepanov, and the Bond Legion's second ship, the PKS-93, is his first spacecraft. Retrieval III. Pastime. To summarize, it was about a Neptunian soldier who managed to sneak into the Bond Legion after the Battle of Neptune and took Mr. P to 1871 during the Franco-German War to attempt to change the past, with Earth being under Neptunian rule. However, when looking back at the present, nothing changed, and we are still left with Neptune's empire declining. This thus created a new timeline where the world is under the clutches of the Neptunians, with all humans under alien occupation. However, even under alien occupation, humans are still allowed a certain amount of freedom, as internet is accessible to the citizens of Earth and people are fully aware that the Neptunians don't belong there. Of course, if you protested, you would die. The original Heist 4. Before we got the Heist 4 we know, Orga had given me the task to create a Heist 4 for him. There were two concepts for this film. Mine involved starting with Howard Hughes coming to the Haxtrograd building, killing State Hollandia, and kidnapping Orga. But I found out it was terrible, so I scrapped that in favor of another concept involving Howard hijacking a plane and getting Nak killed off. Orga would then transform into his rage mode and kill him on top of a cliff island. Sadly, it got deleted, but this plot was later reused in the Heist But It's Your Ideas in the retaking of Earth. The Gujars. These are a group of Azerbaijanis who left their country and established their own nation in Kazakh territory they purchased. The Gujars were to be allies with the Sviaz troopers and arch-enemies to the Velledians who wanted their land as well. The Gujars and Gujaria wouldn't appear until the near end of the heist, but it's your ideas as a cameo as support to the Tsars. Tisitlan. Another country to be put in the Retrieval timeline but put in the Quen timeline instead, also was supposed to occupy all of Europe including Russia, but was reduced to only a territory in Canada. The Tsars were Russians who fled Russia after a second civil war in 2023 and resided in North America. After 7 years of requesting from the UN and Canadian government, the Republic of Tisitlan was established on March 5, 2030. Ruptured Rift series. In another universe, in 2026, Brazilian scientists tested a teleporter, but it broke and opened up a rift to the multiverse and transported multiple people to different places. This is connected to alternate future of the world, but it's your ideas, thus making the series canon to the Heist multiverse. And is also the gateway for the Retrieval characters to meet the Quen timeline characters. The characters from other universes. Because of the rift, multiple universes have been opened to one another, and thus stuff from SMG4, Half-Life, Quake, The Heist, and Star Wars appear in South America. These elements also ended up having prominent roles in the RR trilogy, with the Strogs being enemies for the first two films, and also the addition of a new member to the Bond Legion's allies. They would be Luis Guadalupe and Tari, who is currently the Queen of Neptune alongside Alexei Yegerov. Alexei Yegerov. Do you remember that Sviaz trooper from the Heist 7? He fell to his alleged demise but returns in Ruptured Rift. He then became the main character and also the successor to King Hendrik III of Neptune, which descended into a state of turmoil after his death. He also served in the Russo-Chinese border war from 2090 to 2091, which consummated in a Russian victory. As shown in Ruptured Rift 2, it appeared he experienced being in an APC while getting chased by enemy vehicles in a super long road. Swag's coup. In 2023, Swag couped the country of Mexico and attempted to take down Texas. However, the war failed to conclude, and so Swag instead decides it'd be nice to just rule the country like the one and only Augusto Pinochet. He threw people off helicopters like the Chilean dictator. That's it. The Mushroom Kingdom versus Bolivia. In that same year, Swag's homeland, the Mushroom Kingdom, teleported with its inhabitants from the SMG4 universe. Immediately upon encountering Bolivian authorities who wanted to question who they are, the residents then straight up assaulted 2 policemen but got arrested and hanged by the Bolivians. This provoked the Mushroom Kingdom to declare war, and won surprisingly thanks to their scientist Dr. Egad's highly sophisticated robots. Hollandsphere in space. At the end of Retrieval IV, Easter Device, a prequel to Libz Bond, gets new members and also takes place during the Heist 4. Hollandsphere, Dutch Ball's adopted son, is blasted into space by Howard Hughes on his way with Conrad and Tangata to the ESA space station. He was placed in a separate energy beam and sent into deep space until he reached Neptune for 12 whole years. He went insane for a time but instantly regained his senses when the Neptunians captured him. The Jovian planets in the Retrieval timeline are solid and have hospitable gravity. In most universes, these planets are gas giants and there's no way you could walk on them unless you want to get crushed. In the video they have found it, which was just a Combine theme put over an image of Orga's ruined ship, it is disclosed that Neptune has a solid ground surface and even showing a Neptunian outpost that didn't even need to be hovering and was settled on the planet's land. I'm talking about Ruptured Rift. Only in 2178 did NASA realize this and change the information that the Jovian planets are not gas giants. The Neptunian-Jupiterian enmity. In a way, like pre-20th century France and Britain, in our universe, Neptunians have always hated Jupiterians and vice versa. Of course, it's pretty reasonable why Jupiterians have a distaste for Neptunians, but from the Neptunians' perspective, as General Gurban puts it, which means
Neptunians don't like them. Neither do I. We don't exactly have a definite reason why. We just find them repulsive.
Tangata. Tangata, short for Tangata Manu, was based on the Easter Island mythological creature of the same name. The Chilean scientists designed his appearance on what the creatures look like. The bump off of Orga. There's this scene in the Heist 5 where Orga flies to Neptune, messages the Bond Legion, and then decides to bump himself off towards Neptune. In short, he killed himself. But why? In an interview with Russian civilians and Orga's relatives, Rav Stepanov turned down any question about it. Libz Bond in the backrooms. There was one time Libz Bond attempted to assassinate William Wagner in 2176, but he was teleported to an unknown level. He traversed the area for about 5 minutes until encountering an entity. He got assaulted soon after and was transported back to reality. And from the words of Libz Bond, aka myself, I don't want to talk about it. Now we have hit near bottom, it's time to talk about some obvious yet unexplained things. Some Quen timeline characters are immortal. This may just look like a plot device just so I can avoid introducing new characters constantly. This is true, but it is only scratching the surface. The reason for immortality lies in the one that gives the ideas itself. Quenbat. Planet Quenbat's presence grants whoever goes to it immortality. You will not die of old age, but can die of external factors like gunfire. Libz Bond's multiple deaths. I have died multiple times in the Quen timeline when I vaguely said that I died a certain amount of times, so we have that. To enumerate a few, I have been killed by a car driven by a Quen, Orga's sword that I accidentally activated, fell off a ship, perished in an American space station explosion, and finally ingested 20 grams of crunchy sugar. And no, not the type of sugar that you put on your candy. Glisacswa. The name roughly means the holy religion of spaghetti, as I have completely forgotten what the flip it means. It is a cult from the SMG4 universe that was established in 1073 AD. Dedicated to the worship of the flying spaghetti monster, they believe that one day the spaghetti monster will come. This was fulfilled in SMG4's video, The Spaghetti Apocalypse, which was, by the way, before they were made known in 2023. The Bryn brothers. Peter Bryn, the brother of Bond Legion member Willem Bryn, temporary successor to Howard Hughes, he led a civil war in Wales yet failed. Willem was captain of the 4th Rifle Division and participated in the siege of Cardiff. This luckily was repelled and Willem's group was pushed back to the north. After a while, through Peter's hyperintelligence, they invented teleportation and a heart that connected to Peter, even if Peter had nothing wrong with him. He just wanted to have himself connected to an artificial heart, making him technically a cyborg. Retrieval's original plot. The Retrieval series was meant to be an expansion to the Heist series, but did you know that it was going to be a separate universe? No? Well, here's the plot. It opens with the main character's ship getting attacked by the enemy ship, which is part of the solar fleet set in the far, 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 far future. Let's say 9 million AD. The protagonists ejects in their own little escape pods and end up in various locations. Then the central main character crashes into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. NASA and the United States Space Force send a ship to recover him. They get ambushed by another ship of the same markings, escape, and find out the one who sent the ship was their general, who was evil and not the real general at all. Basically the plot of Modern Warfare 2 with a twist to the twist. Nija, or Nija, I don't know this name. Nija Dipper XL alias Mod in real life. He is a YouTuber and good friend of Quenbat channel. He would start to appear in the Heist But It's Your Ideas as a minor character, but would then become a major one after he became a villain after saying something offensive in a UN meeting. This consummated in World War III, and the death of billions in just a few years. Later he was beaten by Orga and died in that universe's Haxtragrad building. But was he really that evil at all? No. He regretted what he did but couldn't bring himself to do so, causing World War III. The clone mod was nothing like the previous mod, lacking any sympathetic characteristics, and even wiped out the rest of humanity on Earth who failed to escape. This was the fault of Hagmoy, who made him only possess the characteristics of what he was when he was enemies with Orga's team. A bonus about Mod. Mod is the fourth main character to be a cyborg after Howard Hughes, Willem Bryn, and Tari. It's shown in Retrieval III with her hacking into the Neptunian warship security cameras. He is also the first real-life YouTuber that is friends with Orga to be a series main villain, and I personally think he is the most epoch villain in the Heist multiverse. Conclusion. So this wraps it up for my Iceberg video. Hope you enjoyed it so far. Did I miss anything in this video? Let me know in the comments. This is Winter Productions. Ab Milden!